Welcome to my presentation on 21st century learning. We'll be looking at what 21st century learning is, what it means for teachers, and what it means for students today. We'll be doing a short experimental research project on the Vietnam War, looking at traditional methods and contemporary methods of research, and we'll be looking at modern classroom designs. 21st century learning is demanded by new technological innovations, by globalization, and the changing way that people learn today. The extent to that change is debatable. Teachers today now must embrace a range of new resources such as blogs, wikis, social networking sites, photos, print media. So the sort of things that are meant to be achieved from this are digital literacy for students today, inventive thinking skills, effective communication skills, and productivity skills. In Bloom's taxonomy of higher order thinking, you can see how these different skills students apply them to the new technologies. I also like to use Bloom's to assess the effectiveness of these different tools in terms of how they do contribute to students remembering or evaluating or applying. Now, we're going to do a short project on the Australians in Vietnam War, which is part of the New South Wales syllabus. In this, students are asked to explain, to assess, to sequence, to identify and evaluate historical sources. So when I was on prac, I actually was able to teach the Vietnam War to students, and we went through a range of different ways of working historically, and I got the students to do a PowerPoint presentation. As you can see, they're asked to use ICT skills appropriate for this topic. They also did a web-based research task as well. So in this, they must learn about Australia's involvement in the Vietnam War and to explain the reasons for Australia's involvement in the Vietnam War. Traditionally, you would go to the library to get them to do some research. In the library, they'd find things like video, journal articles, and books. I collected some journal articles for them to use, provided some videos for them to watch, and they had their textbook available to them too, and I provided questions for them to answer while researching these different sources. A lot of that was about evaluating the use of them and evaluating the different perspectives on them. They then worked in groups to discuss the responses they had and present to the class the different responses and any consistencies they found in their responses. Now, going to Google and looking at some web-based research that was available and that we used, and you were asked to do virtual site studies. So we looked at the Vietnam War Memorial as part of the Australian War Memorial, which is an excellent research tool available to students. I did get students to answer one question on evaluating it as a historical source and what sort of perspective they thought it would have being a government-run site. There's a range of activities available for students to do here. Things like Kids HQ, as you can see here. These are available on a number of sites and provide some excellent interactive projects for students to undertake. These are available on many sites and many different topics. Now, the Australian Vietnam War commemoration site is also excellent. I really like the photos that they provide here and the details of the different events of the Vietnam War. Students were asked to evaluate some of these photos, and they were clearly engaging with it. I don't think it was necessarily more engaging than the other resources I provided to them, and I found the most rewarding thing for the students was actually the collaborative learning, where they were able to come together and to discuss the answers they had. They were also answering questions going on their web-based research. So in terms of comparing the different things, I think what came out was that knowledge was the key, and then them attaining knowledge was the key, and that's the root, I think, of learning for students. The branch and the trunks are really the way that we teach it, and the leaves, which will always be changing, are the new technologies that we embrace and we start to use. There'll be new technologies each and every year that are useful in the classroom, but the facts about the knowledge, the content, and the way we get that content across will never change. So in the classroom today, there's some amazing new things available, such as whiteboards. I liked particularly about this classroom is the movable tables, which as I do like to do a lot of collaborative learning, I found that very, very exciting, that students would actually be able to move around and rearrange the classroom with ease and not be stuck by having to move around heavy chairs and make lots of noise as they do it. So as you can see, there's a flat screen TV, movable whiteboards, and a smartboard there as well. So a lot of these things, there'll be new technologies available to us to change the classroom, but at the end of the day, what I think is really important is that we get the basics right. If you have good teachers and you have good student numbers, you're able to properly embrace these and use them more effectively.